Hello, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel and welcome back to Premier League Countdown. This is the last episode where finally at Wolverhampton Wanderers, aka just Wolves as we'll be referring to them in this video as everyone does. Make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe. We're nearly on 500 subscribers, so if you can make that happen, that would be great. And we will try to hit it before the end of the year, but we could hit it before the end of the month, which would be even crazier. So big up to everyone that's been supported recently, and literally after this, it'll be Thursday. You'll see this on a Wednesday. It'll be Thursday after this, and then Friday the season starts. So we've successfully done another Premier League countdown. Now let's talk about Wolves. Obviously, with the recent loss of Pedro Neto, some new signings, Gary O'Neill changing formation is going to be very interesting to see how Wolves do throughout the season. Now, I think the perfect way to start this, pardon me, is by looking at their transfer window, as we've done for some of the teams. Now, they've made the Tommy Doyle deal a permanent deal. The Larson guys are centre forward on loan. I thought they made more signings than this. I can't lie to you, unless there's signings that I haven't noticed yet. But Rodrigo Gomez, we're going to see what he's like. I've never watched him before. I don't know whether he actually played against us in a preseason game, but I've heard good things. The Pedro Lima one was very surprising because that was Fabrizio announced that here we go to Chelsea. But Fabrizio has been getting a lot of here we goes wrong, and he doesn't seem to really change his mind about how he does the here we goes either. He doesn't wait a little bit; he just wants to be first. But I get when you're a high-end journalist like that, that's your thing, man. That's your thing. But he was set to go Chelsea, I think, and then Wolves got him instead. I don't know whether they hijacked the deal or whatever, but it is what it is. And he came on against us, and having Pedro Lima and Nelson Semedo as your right back options is very good depth. And obviously, Nelson Semedo is going to start. I said this on my stream the other day, he's probably been the Premier League player that has improved the most throughout any team and any player in terms of not even the trajectory that he's gone on, but just in general performance, especially under Gary O'Neill, he's really gone up a level. So I'm very interested to see how Wolves do. Um, with that transfer window, with the fact that Gary O'Neill's changing to a 4 at the back as well. Now let's look at their sales for a bit. Obviously, Hugo Bueno's gone on loan to Feyenoord. He's very highly rated from what I know of. So we're going to see if he has a future at Wolves. So they've obviously got Aït-Nouri. I think with a back 4, it's going to be interesting to see how Aït-Nouri plays because he plays very well in a back 3, being a wing back. I think he's naturally more of a winger. He's going to be one of them sort of fullbacks that I don't know what he's actually like 1v1 defensively because you don't really see that much in the 3 at the back unless you're playing really, really deep. So it's going to be interesting to see without maybe with less protection. With less protection. In a back 4 maybe there might be holes to pick out, and they might come up against a lot of right wingers targeting him. Obviously, they sold Max Kilman to us. I think a lot of their fans seem to be happy with that. If you're a Wolves fan watching this, what's your general thoughts on Max Kilman objectively? Obviously, you guys are probably happy with the price that you got for him. Obviously, I know they had a sell-on clause, but to Maidenhead as well. But what's your general thoughts on Max Kilman? I'm very interested. And the recent surprise transfer of Pedro Neto to Chelsea. Now, Pedro Neto has been linked with a move year in, year out. But I never thought that someone was actually going to pay the money just because it seemed like Wolves were holding out for a decent price tag. And listen, 60 million is good in my opinion. 60 million is good, in terms of this is euros. I don't actually know what that is in pounds. But that's still a good price tag to hold out on. No one's expecting 100 million or anything. I actually even tweeted out that Ivan Toney, Eze, Solanke, and Neto were all going to stay at their clubs, and I'm now 2 for 4 in terms of getting them wrong. So that has not gone down well. But overall, looking at their squad, maybe they could probably do with another centre back, obviously to replace Max Kilman. But they've got I think the guy's name is Mosquera. They've got Totti. They've got Santiago Bueno. There's someone and Craig Dawson, of course. Actually, they don't need a centre back. They've got 4. If they're happy with them 4 centre backs, they've got them 4. I don't know who else they've got at left back. I'm trying to think who is their other left back option apart from Aït-Nouri. And there's someone in my head, but I'm trying to remember it. decent right back options. Midfield, by the way, two very underrated players in João Gomez and Mario Lemina. I've rated Mario Lemina since his Southampton days. And him going on loan at Fulham, even for like 6 months under Parker, he was one of the players that you'd even look at and be like, this guy's got a strike on him. He's actually a decent midfielder. He's just in a really poor team. But when you look back at that Fulham side that Scott Parker had, Scott Parker was just being shit because a lot of those players are actually really good. They had Tosin Adebayo, they had Joaquim Anderson, they had Alphonse Areola, they had Ademola Lookman, they had Mitrovic up front. They had Bobby De Cordova-Reid, who was still good then, still a solid player, but Scott Parker couldn't get the best out of that team. So Lemina's been good for years. Lemina has been good for a while, and he's quite underrated. Yes, Pedro Neto has left, but they've still got Huang. They've got this new striker now, this Larson guy. We'll see how good he is. They've got Mateus Cunha, who was very key last season. Good link-up play. Not that out-and-out striker that you probably need, but he brings other attackers in to create chances as well. With Gary O'Neill, I've mentioned it a couple of times already in this video, the system change. Now, let's talk about it. Because Gary O'Neill at Bournemouth, for example, he would shift between a 3 and a 4. So it'll be like a 3 in possession with a centre-back playing at fullback and a winger playing as a wing-back. So sometimes that'll be Uwatara, and Adam Smith would be the third centre-back in possession, or on the other side it'll be Lloyd Kelly as the third centre-back, and Marcus Tavernier bombing on. When you look at it from him going to Wolves, however, it's just been a straight 3 at the back. Now, at times it has gone to a 4 in possession as well, but they've switched it a bit. So Ait Nori has had more freedom than ever, and this has kind of benefited the whole team. But what Gary O'Neill likes to do, he's a very proud pragmatist in terms of he'll analyze the opponent and see how he can adjust from there, whether that means take it to them in a game and press, or be hard to break down in certain games. And that's good to have if you can pull that off. With Gary O'Neill, he's still a new manager. This is only his third season coming up only his second full season as a manager, but 2.5 really. He took over Scott Parker when he got sacked from Bournemouth and took the permanent job. Now, yes, I'm not going to go back to the whole Bournemouth situation where, was Gary O'Neill harshly sacked or anything? Bournemouth just wanted to go in a different direction, and Gary O'Neill and Bournemouth have both benefited in their own ways going forward. Now, at times the football isn't that good from Gary O'Neill, but at times the football can be good. Like sometimes he just like to switch up, whether he doesn't like to waste passes in terms of he won't go short for the sake of it or go long for the sake of it. Sometimes he'll be like, okay, going short isn't working in this situation. Let's just go direct, which is a good thing to have if you can pull it off. It's a good idea if you can pull it off because it knows that you've got more chinks in your armor than people would expect, and it's going to be very hard for other pragmatists, other pragmatic managers to approach your team because they don't know what Wolverhampton Wanderers or what Gary O'Neill team is going to turn up in general. Because they don't know if you're going to go direct and target their centre backs, or they don't know if they're going to go short and try and play through the lines, etc. Either way, you've got to be prepared when you play against Wolves to just watch out their attack in general. Like you will probably end up scoring quite a few goals against Wolves and against Gary O'Neill sides in general, but beware of their attack. Even like for example, Nuno Espirito Santo Wolves was a bit different. Like, they're very hard to break down, but their attack was still very hard to deal with. Now in Nuno's last season, it went a bit whatever, but it went a bit stale for a bit for whatever reason. Bruno Lage's team, he kind of just took over a 3 at the back team and carried on playing 3 at the back, and then when he wanted to implement his own style, it didn't work. So they changed direction again, and they got Lopetegui to get them out of trouble, and now they're in the direction of Gary O'Neill. Now I think when it comes to predicting where Wolves finish, don't get me wrong, I think the Neto thing would have changed it for some people, but I predicted 13th in my predictions video for Wolves. For all the Wolves fans watching, I don't want to watch my prediction video. I put Wolves at 13th, and that was even before the Neto thing, and I didn't even change my opinion on that. The reason is because I think at this moment in time, they are better than Everton, Fulham, Southampton, Ipswich, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, and Leicester, and they could probably even finish higher than a Brighton and Bournemouth, and maybe even at us and a Palace. And when I say maybe even an us, I don't mean like in an arrogant way. I just mean that I feel like we've got a better squad. We should be finishing like 10th. I put us in 10th. I've not put us like way above Wolves or anything, because I think it's going to take time. And because I think we're going to hopefully get back into Europe one day. But this video ain't about West Ham. I'm just putting that into perspective for a Wolves fan watching the video. Just in general as well, I think they've got talent. They probably want to sign maybe one or two more players. I don't know what Wolves fans think. It'll be very interesting to see their perspective in the comments. But they're a very interesting team to really keep an eye on, if I'm being honest. As a neutral, I'm going to be very interested to see what Wolves bring to the Premier League this season, whether it goes up in flames or whether they take people by surprise. Because with Gary O'Neill, you never know. I feel like at times he can be quite naive with his tactics, but sometimes he can get a game really spot on. I guess you're going to get that with a young manager, and I'm sure Wolves fans will somewhat believe. I know Wolves had a big drop off, but I think if you were to really take it into consideration, the reason why Wolves had a big drop off from the back end of last season was because of injuries to their attack. At some points, Eight Nori and a random youngster striker that I forgot his name. I think it's called Chihuahua or some shit, or Chihuahua, sorry. And Bellegarde at times were playing in the front three. They were playing three midfielders at times. I think Bellegarde, it'll be interesting to see what he's like next season, because um I don't know what Wolves fans think, but like I liked glimpses of him. But this was his first season in the Premier League, so I couldn't really judge him too much. I do like Tommy Doyle. I think he's quite underrated, and I think if João Gomez or Lamina does get suspended or injured, Tommy Doyle could, you know, play a good job and just get in there, etc. And I think they're going to be very excited by some of the young talent that they're bringing through, alongside with the experienced players that they have already. It's quite a balanced squad. But make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Whether you're a Wolves fan, West Ham fan, it doesn't matter. So just subscribe to the channel, because everyone's welcome here. Everyone's welcome. I talk about West Ham mainly for anyone that's new, but I do talk about football in general. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year and before the end of the month. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. That's GVO Max on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.